this movie shows that every community, every ethnic group has the same breakdown. You have mostly great people, good people, so people, right? But there's always that one segment that makes it bad for you.
When Foxy Brown comes to town, all the brothers gather round, 'cause she can really shake 'em down. Pam Grier, that one chick hit squad who creamed you as coffee, is back to do a job on the mob as Foxy Brown.
Sounds like a public menace.
Sure do.
A chick with drive who don't take no jive. She's sweet brown sugar with a touch of spice.
If you see a man anywhere, send him in, because I do need a man.
And murder if you don't treat her nice. Have no fear, Pam Grier is here as Foxy Brown. Rated R.
He's back in the house. We're going to talk about something that he had not seen. I am so thrilled because I get to go back down an alley, a rabbit hole, call it what you will, with something that's sort of like way off the beaten path, which is what Baron and I spend most of our time talking about, is cult movies, odd things that you don't know much about maybe. And this time we're going to talk about some Pam Grier greatness. That's right, Foxy Brown, probably her most popular and famous of films, even though she's done a lot of other things as well. So, Aaron, thanks for doing this with me, my friend. It's going to be a good time.
More than happy to. Yeah, I seem to become the cult film guy for you, go-to guy for you. So, and yeah. I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I have to admit, there's a couple of things that come up, but haven't always manifested into video. And then other people's schedules, my schedule, all that. But it is so great to be able to do this with you. It's a rewatch for me. Hence, I left the logo up for a rewatch for me, even though I think it is a first-time watch for you.
For me, yeah.
Foxy Brown. That's right, 1974. Jack Hill. He had followed up a film he did just prior to this one called Coffee.
Right.
Pam Grier starts in that one. Almost the exact same storylines, plot points. Also free on Tubi, by the way. If any of you don't know what we're talking about, go over to Tubi. You can find these. Just blaxploitation, uber low budget, cultish, dive deep into the time. This is early 70s. Black culture. Crime culture, I think, is also definitely more present in Foxy Brown than black culture. Coffee is definitely more black culture. I think that if you don't know much about Pam Grier, you'll understand why there are people like me and like Quentin Tarantino, who's just continues to have praise. And if you like Jackie Brown, which I'm not a huge fan of Jackie Brown, but there are people who love Jackie Brown. I can tell you what, you'll have a good time going back to these old movies and understanding where some of his inspirations were. So, high level first impressions for you, Baron?
Yeah, I mean, made for $500,000, which actually was a little bit of chunk of change, but not huge. It was fun. It really was fun because these low budget films have heart to them. They really want to, just like in the 80s, in the 70s, you had the same thing. These are people wanting to make a mark and be noticed, and which I think we're lacking today. And that's what's great. What it lacks in certain areas, it makes up for that. Ambition, heart, being creative. It doesn't necessarily all mesh out properly, but it's not unwatchable. You don't feel, again, that where you feel dirty after watching a film because it was just so bad, and you kick yourself for not walking out. No, I would not. In fact, I'm interested in seeing Coffee. Because like you were saying, it was the film before. It's basically Pam Grier was in that one. This is a remake, just little differences here and there, and established that Pam Grier as an action heroine who happens to be black. I didn't think we had that, by the way.
Yeah, they don't exist.
No,
and actually, the irony is, I had just recently saw someone do this really fun AI-driven. If X-Men were in the 70s cast type of thing, so they went through, they had Clint Eastwood as Wolverine, they had Jeff Bridges as, and they just didn't do Storm right. I don't even remember who they picked, but I'm like, how is that not Pam Grier? And anyway, No, I couldn't agree more. In every element, Jack Hill's the director. He comes actually out of the same school. But if you didn't look him up, he's basically a classmate of Francis Ford Coppola. So Francis Ford Coppola, as you know, a contemporary of this time, is him doing these Godfather movies.
Right.
Also, obviously, this is George Lucas era where he's leading into THX 1138 before Star Wars.
Hmm.
So Jack Hill also had done apprentice work with Roger Corman, understood the value of low budget work, and just a true vision. That's really an interesting. Again, I don't totally get his background to why he was drawn and kind of spent most of his successes and fighting for these because
Hmm.
the group behind Coffee wanted this to be a direct sequel, and
Hmm.
then there was all these fighting over it and kind of how he was going to get it into development, that kind of thing. And I will say, in some ways, I think Coffee might actually be better in a lot of ways because it feels more focused on her
Hmm.
as a revenge driven character. So the premise is basically, folks, is you have Pam Grier, in this case, Foxy Brown. She's going to be driven to get her life back together with her longtime boyfriend, who has gone into hiding as a government informant agent. Basically, he was undercover and he's having some plastic surgery done. So they're going to basically have their lives together. Now, her brother is a massive heroin dealer and addict as well. And you have this sort of street level life of the '70s stuff that goes haywire, leading to murder and chaos. And she's just sort of like a revenge driven chick who's just kicking butt and taking names. And
Right.
what I think what gets lost and why people don't get where I'm coming from when I'm bashing on some of these girl boss movies is I can tend to be a little forgiving with a movie like this because she gets the crap kicked out of her.
Oh
And
yeah.
that seems like it gets lost. So when I watched, I haven't watched them in a long time. Peppermint, and the other one is like Bullets and Milkshakes, whatever the Karen Gillan one on Netflix is.
Mhm.
They're just so subpar compared to basically this. And I liken this more to like a Death Wish movie. It's more
Yeah.
like a death. This and Coffee are more like a Death Wish movie. And the only one that I really have enjoyed, I think, is the elite one of a girl boss movie like this one. Is something like Atomic Blonde, where you have Charlize Theron.
Hmm.
I mean, yes, she survives the stairwell fight, but her eye is completely swollen. She's completely, hey, I get that. That's what to me makes this so believable, right?
Right. I mean, that's just it. Part of the hero's journey, and takes you out of that Mary Sue. If you go through all this and nothing horrible happens to her, to the character, the female character that we're talking about now, uh, then it's a boring story. What did the character accomplish? Basically nothing. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, yawn bore, but we have our struggles when we see the character struggle in the movie. We can have a commonality. We can see. Yeah, we might not be being up in a stairwell, but we have our own struggles as average people. So it's nice to see the heroes, which we place higher, also getting their butt kicked, and worse. I mean, the implication of a little forced loving on her too by the hillbillies in that film.
Oh yeah, there's a lot
So
of
they,
violence in this movie. There's girl on girl
oh,
violence, and by the way, going to a lesbian bar. This
hmm,
stuff is not. This is why I don't find. And again, as someone who watched this, I didn't know anything about. So again, let's go to the story, right? So again,
hmm,
going to midnight movies. I'm in college. The world
hmm,
is the warrior. The world is my oyster when I'm not studying for school, and I'm literally the uber nerd where it's like all down the rabbit hole with comic books and with movies. It's like, wait, so what are these movies? Obviously,
hmm,
everyone had heard of Shaft. I
yeah,
had vaguely remembered seeing Shaft, like it was on with like my uncle or somebody was watching it. I don't even know when that was. It had been years prior. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll watch. And so down the rabbit hole I go, and I find these, I don't know, half a dozen to 8 movies at the VHS store. Oh, okay, cool. What's this one? What's this one? And you
Mhm.
have sort of like this little pocket of time where these things become a
Right.
thing. And what I think that I want your thoughts on how grounded it felt to you, because it feels, and it still did to me, very realistic. I know they're
Yeah.
acting, and I know it's low budget, but I also feel like I could have just this almost feels like docudrama type approach. Like you just feel like you're just going
Mhm.
around with people. You know what I mean? Like it's just a
Yeah.
low budget camera crew that happened to be following them around that week or something.
Yeah, it's 74's version of Cops or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, whether people like or not, back in the big cities, whether it's New York, Chicago, Minneapolis, yeah, you had huge areas like this in the cities. So it was a little bit of a flashback for me, seeing this stuff as a kid. And yeah, and a lot of places have had the minorities, but not all, but it's not, but they weren't the only ones there. You had everybody. They were like melting pots, filthy, grungy, dirty. In fact, the one thing that took me out of the film a little bit was the lesbian bar, because that is the cleanest, most brightly lit dive I ever saw. And I've
Hmm.
been in a lot of dives in my life. It's like, whoa, I wish, some of the places I went into looked this clean. So, uh, but other than that, yeah, just like Invasion USA, where some of the street scenes that they had in Miami, or supposedly in Miami,
Yeah.
looked realistic to that era. And it's like, yeah, oh yeah, I remember seeing stuff like that back in the '80s. So
This
it,
this what took me out of this scene was, I
mhm,
mean, obviously I get what you're saying. You definitely know you're on a set was the first
yeah,
thing. I didn't feel like I was on location.
mhm,
And it was they kept using the breakaway chairs.
yeah,
They kept using breakaway chairs. So again, if you're ever in a bar fight, not saying you should get in a bar fight to find this out. If someone breaks a chair, use the pieces of the chair, stop trying to swing chairs. Chairs are heavy. You can't hit anyone with a chair. However, the pieces of the chair make great weapons. Just so you know. It
I'm
just
not,
it lost me because we just kept doing the same thing over. And
yeah,
by the way, the person that goes into the jukebox probably would have died headfirst into an electrocution. So there's all sorts of elements that
mhm,
they were at least daring to go into something like a different scene like this, which is fine.
right, yeah,
Uh, this
it's a movie,
actress I thought was one of the weaker elements of the movie. I didn't think
yeah,
she's particularly great. Juanita Brown is, and again, that's her character, um,
hmm,
her in this movie. That's her name, not, she's not Foxy Brown. It just it feels like she just didn't know what she was ever supposed to be doing. The other thing that takes you out a little bit is she has a massive wardrobe and changes in some of the most remote locations. Like you have no idea. I think at one point they capture her, but then we see her. She has a different outfit on her, and then if I it's just so
hmm,
the wardrobing was an issue because I think after Coffee, which feels more natural, this
right,
one they were trying to lean into culture, trying to make her look hip and cool. Like there was a lot of that. And Jack Hill was against all this, but he was losing that battle. And it's so ironic because you know maybe that's why it feels so real. Because again, this is again we poor Baron and I keep saying the same thing. This is why we hate some of this modern crap. I'm not opposed to the fact that it feels dated and we're seeing 70s outfits. I think it really makes this feel more authentic.
well, especially those that go out there and praise Quentin Tarantino, and he does this stuff that's based in that time. So, what's the difference? Except this is the original source. This is stuff that helped influence his way of doing films, uh, and it's great seeing stuff. I like, people like period pieces. Well, this is a period piece now for us because it's like what 50 years ago plus,
I know I couldn't
knocking.
believe that when I
Yeah.
was putting the title thing together. When I have to type it out and I'm typing out 1974 is when it hits me pretty hardcore. Like what on earth?
Hmm.
Um, and again, let me go back. I pulled the wrong one. Uh, there's some great cast members too. There's some great
Oh hell
folks.
yeah.
I had this pulled up earlier. You guys will recognize. You're to that old school Battlestar Galactica folks.
Hmm.
You'll recognize. By the way, again, another black actor in another famous show.
Yep.
By the way, from all of us alleged racists who hate those people. No, we loved Battlestar Galactica. We loved him so much, and I love him in this. Like that's why I completely have zero tolerance for people who want to throw around the Eastway.
Yeah.
he's. It's sad that his character is not around very much. He's really good in this movie. He's very
He is.
solid.
He was a very great actor. He, seeing them other stuff that he did is like, oh, that's Terry Carter. Okay, let's watch. And if just seeing Terry Carter makes you want to watch something, it is a testimony to the actor or any actor where it's like, oh, it's that person. Let's watch that. It's just funny though, seeing him getting a handful of Greer and then being the second in command on the Galactica. It's like, woo, you lucky man, you.
Yeah, yeah. It was it was so good. It was a lot of fun. He's really good. He's not around long. He's solid when he's.
No.
And actually, I will say this, and sorry if it gets me some hate. It actually kind of makes Pam Grier not look as good as a performer because he is
Yeah.
so good. I'm not trying to bash it. She's terrible. It's just,
No.
she's playing more like the action female thing, and a lot of it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
cliche driven. And again, it's like
Yeah.
Death Wish type stuff. However, he actually has dramatic chops.
Mm-hmm.
So his scenes, all his stuff, is almost is like perfection. Like I have no,
Oh, yeah.
and then if we flip that coin, right, then you have Antonio Fargas, who
Yep.
folks are going to know. I mean, obviously, if you can't recognize him from "I'm going to get you, sucker," and if you don't get the joke now in "I'm going to get you, sucker," I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to tell you, man, because the Fly Guy gag, like he literally plays Fly Guy at one point. There's one point where he's walking around and stuff, and you're like, dude, oh my gosh, this is literally the
Mm-hmm.
scene. Like yeah,
And people walked that way back then too. This
yeah,
wasn't
man,
just something Hollywood made up.
right,
It's like just like all the silliness stuff that we did. Everybody, uh, you know, had their little silly things that they were doing. Well, the Fly Guy was one of them,
yeah, man,
whether they like it or not.
and look again. Maybe we can talk about "I'm going to get you, sucker," because I've never done a video on it. All the references to this era of stuff. Obviously, Jim Brown is in that as well, and he is a massive star of these movies during that time
Yeah.
frame. And another reason that the Running Man reference resonates so much because, yeah, he was also doing these movies, and he was a big star in that community.
Mhm.
But
Right.
yeah, Antonio Vargas is great. He's
And
fantastic
uh,
in these scenes.
and of course his magnum opus role that virtually everybody knows him as, Huggy Bear.
Yep. Yeah, I was getting ready to pull up how to get
Oh,
a shot. Yeah. No, you're fine.
sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, Starsky and Hutch, which is just a massive timepiece as well from this era. So
Mm-hmm.
again, folks, if you don't know much about this type of genre or subgenre, if you will, let me just say that it is pretty. I want to say authentic, but I feel like it's genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like even though it's cheesy and it's kind of thrown together in a lot of ways, because obviously it's
Yeah.
uber low budget, like we talked about, it's under $1 million for sure. And I feel as though it captures that community and sense of life on the streets and some of the because
Mm-hmm.
just because the special effects are bad
Mm-hmm.
because they're just using cheap red blood paint from back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Pretty cheap. Got it.
Yeah.
But the actors are taking it seriously. Like I have a bigger issue, Baron, when I watch things where I'm trying to take it serious, but the people on screen are not taking it serious. So this
Mm-hmm.
is actually pretty authentic. Like you see the reactions of people. No, I'm going to cut her. She cut me. I'm cutting her. I'm going to kill her. Obviously you talked about at least this off camera graping scene. Like some of these
Mm-hmm.
scenes were at least PG-13. The movie is not for sure, but at
No.
least those scenes were at least off camera to at least
Mm-hmm.
keep. Yeah, I think genuine, authentic. Some of those things I think are where some of that comes into play for sure.
Well, I mean, it definitely was kind of a film of its era with these gritty films. Plenty of violence, plenty of boobies. I mean, you take a look through it. It's a testimony of that era of these. I mean, I wouldn't call it grindhouse, but these lower budget, uh, like you were saying, Death Wish type films.
Yeah,
And this just happens to be made for a segment of the community. But they were so good, everybody loved it.
yeah, yeah.
And that's what.
Blaxploitation is sort of like the subgenre's name that they get.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that, but I get it. It is sort of like the cultish I guess Grindhouse is not an awful name for it.
No,
It's more because it's more like a dramatic piece versus what would be in
right,
a Grindhouse movie, which is more like more like horror action type stuff. This is more like
right.
dramatic action
Hmm.
and more and actually kind of feels more like if you imagine like a low cult version of like the Serpico French Connection type
Oh yeah,
capturing
there we go.
in the black community.
Hmm.
That's kind of what it feels. I feel like I'm in that sort of subgenre. Like it needs its own category in there because it's so uber low budget,
Hmm.
but it also is willing to do things that mainstream Hollywood wasn't interested in doing.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, these films kicked the door open for black cinema. These films should not.
Mhm.
I mean, they're detracted, they're derided, they're mocked, they're saying about how horrible these films are and stereotypes. So, news for you: every film has a stereotype in it. All characters are a bit of a stereotype to a degree. I'm a walking stereotype as a Minnesota Norwegian, don't you know? You know, think of the people in Fargo there, don't you know? Oh yeah, we have our hot dishes. I mean, that's a stereotype, right? It's just what you do with it. And these films, like I said, gave us Pam Grier, they gave us Richard Roundtree, gave them a chance to be in the spotlight. They were popular with everybody. Didn't matter if you're white, black, or whatever. You want to talk about exploitation films? What about the teen exploitation film? The young teenage boy who has all this angst that you had in the 50s and early 60s. I mean, all across the way, there's always been some form of quote unquote. Look at the Breastfits Club. Again, teenage exploitation films that were given from John Hughes, going through all that way because it's hitting the segment. John Hughes was hitting the teenage and all that and reviving that. So it's made for a certain segment, are focusing on a certain segment, but done right, everybody enjoys it. I don't believe in quote unquote exploitation film unless it's an adult film.
Yeah, I think what people seem to lose sight of too is some of the messaging, and it's
Mhm.
stronger in Coffee than it is in Foxy Brown
Yeah.
because in Coffee, she's driven by the fact that the drug ring has laid up her sister, and it's a
Hmm.
revenge. Taking all this drug ring down because of what they've done to their sister, and of course the
Right.
murders ensue and chaos ensues. This one's a little more different. It's a little more it's sort of like less complex, but because she
Right.
disguises herself as a prostitute and she's infiltrating the ring and she's violent herself and all,
Hmm.
yeah, I get it. Welcome to Death Wish. I don't want to tell
Right.
you. And it's more focused in the black community, this crime, and it's not trying to give. I didn't feel like either film felt like it was trying to give some sort of massive commentary on society. I think
No.
when it is trying to do that, because I think there's a lecture in Coffee that's like that. Um, Jackie Brown, she kind of has a speech with the Black Panthers that's a little bit
Right.
down that avenue.
Hmm.
But isn't that kind of like the social commentary we should be having? Like, isn't this the problem? Like, it's all interconnected. Like, I get it. Like, I also think I wanted your thoughts. I thought the Black Panther portrayal may be some of the best that I've ever seen because
Oh yeah.
most movies, pick one, like Forrest Gump's probably one of the most famous ones, right? It's
Hmm.
so over the top.
Yeah.
You feel like they're always like ready to go on a violent attack. It's never any sort of like just them hanging out or whatever, just being like regular guys.
Hmm.
This one felt more like what I knew of as Black Panthers. This is what they were
Right.
like. If you ever run across some folks that were in it or whatever, they weren't really having an issue with you much at all. And they
No.
were just like regular guys hanging out. They like to play ball. They talked a lot of
Right.
smack.
Hmm.
Okay, that's kind of what they were. And then I, in their off time, yeah, sure, they're doing some stuff that I would not have wanted to be a part of, and I wouldn't want to be
No.
on the end of their focus or rage. So yeah, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
You agree
kind
with
of like
that assessment?
the motorcycle clubs out there.
Yeah,
A lot of them are sometimes that way. It's like they hang around, drink your beer, whatever, but you don't want to be on the wrong side of them. The same thing
yeah,
there, and yeah, and they were thinking people. They weren't again the mindless mob. It's like, what's in it for us? Well, it sounds like you want us to help you get revenge.
Mhm.
And which, of course, her answer is leave the revenge to me. You guys go for the justice. Because
Right.
this is stuff that's coming into our community. This junk is coming into our community.
Mhm.
It's basically a film that's sitting back saying, uh, even to their own community, we can do better. Let's clean this up.
Mhm.
And of course, the typical bad guys in these films, Betty White, um, uh, or in this case, her, is a woman. So here you have kind of which I'm, I don't know what you thought of her performance. What's her name? Catherine Loder, but I thought was bad. I thought it was a stinkeroonie. I'm trying to figure out who was better, Juanita Brown or her, and it was kind of
No,
hard
they
for
were
me.
both bad. I don't feel like Jack
Yeah.
Hill, and again, I don't maybe he doesn't get total blame 'cause I know he brought in an uncredited writer to kinda help him at the end, but reality
Hmm.
is and if it was writing for females or writing for the trying to do the girl boss thing, because really her boyfriend obsession is this guy named Steve who doesn't
Yep.
really pull off his role either. He feels like he was miscast. It doesn't feel like because he feels like he's more like a smarmy rich guy,
Yeah.
off a scene off an episode of Love Boat rather than Peter Brown is his name. So
Yeah.
it, it those three characters kind of drag the film down from being a higher score for me because their
Right.
dialogues are kind of off and cheesy performance. So I don't know. I don't exactly know. Again, we didn't really need the one. I
Yeah.
think you could have had Steve just be the
Hmm.
boss, or they could have just been an actual couple. They're kind of weird because they have these scenes where they're kind of together. He's eyeing Foxy at one point, and they're trying to kiss and say "I love you," but he's looking off like he doesn't even care anymore. It's just there's some
Hmm.
moments that don't kind of click and keep moving along.
Yeah.
But reality is, at the end of the day, he's trying to keep everything focused on Foxy Brown and her mission and all that, and it does
Right.
play out reasonably okay. And I will
Yeah.
say, did you like? I think I wanted your thoughts on she does want revenge, but she feels like
Hmm.
she's got revenge at the end because of what's happened
Right.
with Steve and her. Like she doesn't have to murder them in cold blood like
Right.
you kind of expect her to do.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm going to be better than you,
Mhm.
type of thing. Sure, I have every right to, but I'm going to do this instead, and you're going to have to live your entire life this way. And of course, he, I think, got the worst end than her. So I
But it's off
I don't.
camera. They didn't even
Yeah.
go there. So I
Mm-mm.
have to be honest, people that are critical, it's off camera. It's
Yeah.
totally just implied. You don't really
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah.
But I think the best acting part she had is when she saw the jar. That was her best,
Yeah.
best one.
Yeah.
And with Peter Brown, I think his problem is he didn't have him in chaps and wearing a cowboy hat. Where
Right where he's
maybe
more
if they,
comfortable, right?
yeah, it's like at least make him like the cowboy bad guy, and then now you got something. But yeah, and that's another testimony of things not showing it, the implying and such drives, I think, home better than if you actually watch it, because the old noggin there. I can guarantee you there are people out there in their imagination thinking that scene far more horrible than a director or a writer could even write up, and it's like, oh, especially if you're a man. So and that's what's great. It's like, again, don't treat your audience like idiots, and that's the one thing they did not treat the audience like idiots.
Agreed. Agreed.
The things that we had problems with was them trying to be ambitious or trying something, or maybe they couldn't get the actor or actress they wanted, and they came in with a dud performance. But it was the failures was because they were trying to do what they thought was the right way and treat the audience like someone who can think. I mean, just the Black Panther scene itself is one of those. I was
Mhm.
really surprised by that scene. It's like, okay, great, we're going to the Black Panthers. What's going to happen here? Um, and it's like, wow, okay, yeah, this is exactly what a group like, just different color. It's like I was saying earlier, like a motorcycle club or something like that. Uh, you're not my brother. Don't call me brother because you're an organization, but I still talk to you. It's the same thing with
Right.
a biker. And that's what's great. And you don't. You don't walk away losing brain cells. That's the important thing. That's the important thing. I love that.
Famous VHS box cover,
Hmm.
kind of sells movie short. Some of these actually I think are a better representation of the film, kind of give you more
That
of a
is
dynamic
perfect.
look.
That is the perfect poster for this film and for the era.
She's the meanest chick in town.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's good
And
stuff.
beautiful. Oh my
Yeah.
God, Pam Grier is so beautiful.
So yeah, she's stunning. Different
Hmm.
looks, different outfits, lots of costume changes for sure.
Hmm.
For sure, she's in and out of her afro and her different
Hmm.
outfits. So yeah, good stuff. Um,
It was. I mean, yeah, people need to broaden their horizons and watch this. Don't listen to the naysayers that say these are racist films or whatnot because it's a black exploitation film and they're holding. It's like no, these are films that are actually uplifting in a grungy way because of the city, where they are at. But living everyday life, trying to get ahead, and in other cases, revenge. Yeah, and it shows that just like any segment of community, you have good people, you got bad people. Like her brother, scumbag, right? She's a good person. Her brother, bloodline, everything gets her man, and even the officer, Terry Carter's character, Michael Anderson, I believe, right? Um, look at him and what that man was trying to do, and you start seeing all these different things that every community has.
yep. Yeah, I think that was to me one of the things that my take home on my rewatch was it just felt um, like the conversation we're not supposed to have anymore was it's like, oh
Right.
wait, this is people who want to clean up their own neighborhood. It's talking about things that are very difficult,
Hmm.
consequences, a revenge argument, all those things. Super solid for me.
Yeah.
Have to be honest with my critiques. I'm going to give it kind of a 3.5 out of 5 for me.
Mhm.
If you have an issue with some of the budget and some of those performances, I get it. Maybe if it goes anywhere, it goes down to a 3. I can't go below a 3. I think it's
No.
super solid in that sense of like that kind of commentary. It doesn't feel as constructed and put together as well, or giving her any real, you know, Oscar acting type chop stuff to really work
No.
with. So you're not going to get like Serpico level or anything like that
Mhm.
elevating the film either. So I feel like it's kind of like right there in that sort of like 6 to 7 out of 10 for those of you who use that scale. So that says me. What about you, Baron?
My popcorn bucket scale is about the same. 3.5. I think I give it the 3.5, the half because of the scenes that we saw of Pam Grier, Sans close. I mean, I'm gonna see serious. I give about 3.5. Obviously some of the performances is one of the reason why it pulls down.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
story in many ways is solid. It's just that they had little road bumps along the way. A couple scenes taking you out, like the lesbian bar, uh, for many reasons. Like I said, it's the cleanest dive bar I ever saw. I want come on, where were they? Um, and the like, but then you had the excellent performances. Terry Carter, Pam Grier, who did a great job in there. Yeah, you're right. This isn't Oscar winning performances, but we don't need Oscar winning performances
Agreed.
for films to enjoy or say, hey, they were good in there. In fact, Oscars mean nothing to me, and they haven't meant anything for me for a long time, especially when you've seen people who deserve Oscars not get it to someone's far subpar to them. Uh, it goes to litmus test. Did they entertain you? Did you enjoy it? Okay, there, boom, that's my award. Congratulations, you got the entertainment award from me. In some ways, even the bad ones we're talking about, Juanita and what was her name again? Her name was where are you? Oh, Catherine Loder. I mean, she doesn't even have a page out there, so I don't think she was. Yeah, I
Oh,
don't
right.
think
Yeah. I
she.
don't know. I didn't look at her IMDb page or anything like
Yeah.
that. It didn't, it's not my thing. So I just was
Mhm.
not a massive fan. I'm all about Pam Grier
No.
though. I mean, I've been
Oh yeah,
around.
Pam Grier.
Yeah,
But
just
in some Yeah, and some was Juanita and her. There was a little bit of chuckles there, and just like, oh god.
Yeah.
But but it wasn't one of those things that you go, with disgust and disdain. It's like, okay, yeah, it's part of the films back that you had, good and bad. Is think of it as Corman, think of it as a lot of these others out there that were making these films and films that inspired Quentin Tarantino. But if you like Quentin Tarantino, go to the source. And again, 3.5, you're not going to regret it. Maybe do a back-to-back watch party, Kofi and this. They're not that
Yeah, they're
long.
basically it's basically a sequel to the other, and then obviously she goes on and continues with other films. I
Mm-hmm.
think Bucktown is the next year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously a couple years later is when she, because she was with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar this early part of her life before he
Oh
decided,
yeah.
you got to be Muslim to be with me. She's like, no, I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
She ended up with Richard Pryor and Grease Lightning, and then they become a thing for a while.
Mm-hmm.
She'd kind of fallen in love and out, before he passed away was Freddie Prinze. So Freddie
Right.
Prinze as well, having his drug addiction. So she has a
Yeah.
fascinating. I did not know about her autobiography. I'm ready to try to check that out as well. I did not know
Yeah.
about it. So that's kind of
That would be
cool
interesting.
to. I love the tell all type books and get it from their perspective. So
Mm-hmm. And just to let people know, Coffee is actually more well received than Foxy Brown. Foxy Brown is just the one that seems to get a lot of that attention. Maybe it's the name. Maybe it's the name Foxy Brown. Just
yeah,
like
you're right, because coffee doesn't really register to anything. What is it? And reality
mhm,
is, I think it's just a better constructed and executed film.
yeah.
And I think it's because there's so much. It's a very clear revenge story. Like, and it starts out right
Mhm.
from the get go. They waste no time, and she
Right.
kind of has sort of like almost like Kick Ass, right? The superhero approach with an
Hmm.
alternate identity. Like she's kind of pretending to do this. She doesn't wear a
Right.
costume or anything like that. But it makes more
Hmm.
sense. It makes like the Death Wish sense. And it's like, okay, this is how long. Not saying they won't ever get caught. But again, in the 70s, it wasn't like some of the stuff was going to be, there wasn't closed circuit cameras everywhere. No one had cell phones everywhere. A lot of those kind of key
Hmm.
elements play out. So yeah, no, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully, folks
Yeah.
out the year,
Yeah.
if you have favorites that we haven't talked about, because obviously you're talking about kind of a decade that we don't really talk much about, and then obviously at our age, once Star Wars came along, we were down, a whole thing growing
Yeah.
up, so we had to have found this stuff later in life anyway. So it's not like we're going to pretend that we saw them like a Tarantino who's older than us who would have seen them in theaters. Like he saw these and he talks about it regularly. He talks about seeing Steve McQueen in Bullet.
Hmm.
Like he talks about that. I had to come across that stuff much later in life to appreciate. So, but hopefully we've talked about something you guys can check out and give us your thoughts. Interesting. And definitely if you want to understand more about that genre and that era of filmmaking, that kind of stuff. And Uber low film. I mean, why are people not making these kind of movies, Baron? I mean, I don't know, man.
Because they've been brainwashed into thinking that this is racist. You can't do this. We can't, because anything, and again, this is the mental midgets that think this. That if you put people like that instantaneously, you're giving bad mojo to them, and that's not the case. This show, like I said earlier, this movie shows that every community, every ethnic group has the same breakdown. You have mostly great people, good people, so people, right? But there's always that one segment that makes it bad for you. They either
Yep.
give you a bad name or whatnot, and that's the thing. And if you want to be real and point out, you can't have an entire ethnic group saints. There's no such thing
Yeah.
as
So
everybody
Foxy Brown,
being
folks, make sure you
saints.
check that out. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Good
let's
stuff.
not forget Cleopatra
1974.
Brown on Kentucky Fried Movie. Probably one of the best spoofs of these,
Right.
Cleopatra.
Yeah, actually, I think
Or
that
was it
was supposed
Cleopatra
to be.
Schwartz?
It's Cleopatra Schwartz, but Cleopatra Brown, I think, was something he was supposed to. It was a competing
Yeah.
film, and they were rushing
Hmm.
this one along to get because of the sequel debate and whatever. So
Right.
yeah, that was definitely from that era, from this era as well. Yeah, and listen, I'm glad we were able to get into this and get into the concept of it all because I think it lends itself. So tell us what you guys think, and tell us what you are enjoying and watching, and love your thoughts and feedback. And make sure you check this guy out. All the links are there in the description to go over and check him out. He's on different channels, doing different shows, doing his own thing. definitely a good friend in this journey, and great voice and knowledge and all this. So invite him on your show. Do that too. It's okay. He might be able to fit you in. So, but folks, and thanks again to Baron. Folks, you guys be blessed. Talk hard. Till next time. I am Pops.
TNT Jackson.
The name is Diana Jackson. TNT to you.
This hit lady's charms can break both your arms. She's a one-mama massacre squad. You best treat her fine or she'll shatter your spine.
I love your style.
TNT Jackson, she'll put you in traction.
There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. Because here comes Yoshi. And he's up against Goombas, Groovers, Pooh Buddies, and Piranha Plants in Nintendo's new stack and sandwich puzzle game called Yoshi. Match the creatures and wipe them out. Play alone or with a friend. But mix them and you won't stand a chance. It's challenging. It's overwhelming.
Hey, Yoshi!
It's Yoshi, the new puzzle game for Game Boy or NES. Now you're playing with power.
Thank you for